So, after once again putting out a very discoursey video, I'd like to once again go through and address some of that discourse in a sort of roundup of the points that have been raised in response to it. No big apologies this time, as I'm quite happy with how that video turned out, but there were certainly points raised that are worth addressing, and a few things I did look over that should be mentioned. Let's see what people had to say. What am I gonna do when a woman doesn't want to be touched, but I want to bite her fingers? Fucking dumbass. No, wait, hold on, that's not it. Kill yourself. When I find you, you're gonna have a bad time. Oh, god damn it. In all seriousness, though, there are a number of things that are worth going over. So first, let's mention some stuff about the specific series itself. For starters, I got a bunch of comments saying, well, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. Obviously it isn't for you. But, I said that I really enjoyed it, like 30 seconds into the video. If this somehow wasn't stunningly obvious to you, you can criticize things you enjoy. You can both say, I really like this, but also it could have done this thing better. You can love the garlic bread, but still think it would have been even better with a bit more cheese. To get to an argument that's actually worth granting any merit to, many people argued that Zaito's arc involves him getting better as a person, being respectful to Hoshino, and only then can he get the girl. The show does actually rebuke his initial harassment of her, this argument asserts. I don't really buy that, though. In the final episode, where their romance resolves, Hoshino does say that she knows he was directed to be shitty to her to destroy her romantic feelings for him. However, that scene I went over in the first video was before he was directed to do so. That was him being shitty of his own volition. Even with that, though, Hoshino also has clearly come away from the sum total of his genuine advances thinking Zaito just views her as a sex object, because she says, I'm fine with being your fuck buddy. She's elated when after that he says, no, I want to treat you right. So clearly that isn't what she truly wanted out of a relationship with him. After he introduced himself by sexually harassing her, Hoshino ended up being so in love with Zaito that even though she thought his interest in her was just as a pump and dump, she was willing to get with him anyway. Because of this, Zaito gets to come out of things looking like a relative good guy just for saying, no, I want our relationship to be built on mutual respect actually. The key point here is that he is not really rewarded with the girl only after he becomes a better person, because the series makes it very clear that he could have had Hoshino regardless. It does say that being a good person is good, but still clearly perpetuates the idea that that gross approach will still be rewarded. There's one other scene from the series that I failed to bring up that warrants mention. In the cafeteria, one of the main girls sexually assaults her own romantic interest. She calls him over to sit with them, and then rubs his inner thigh, before presumably grabbing his dick, given that her next line is, it's hard, after the camera pulls back. At this point, he certainly seems to be into her, but that doesn't at all excuse things, and the series implying that they'll eventually get together at the end, without having addressed that scene, is also a big issue. It's mostly played off as a joke, and the idea it perpetuates is that of course men will enjoy and be into sexual advances from women, and that getting embarrassed over that happening to you is funny and an unwarranted overreaction. This leads into a broader point brought up in response to that video, which is that men get assaulted as often as women, or even more so in anime. All the time guys are getting kicked or hit for seeing a girl's panties, which more than not was an accident outside their control or something they straight up didn't do and the girl just suspected them of, which seems to suggest this isn't actually a sexism problem, and in fact, complaining about women's treatment callously ignores men's own plight. There's a few important things to note here, though. For starters, I'd direct you to the recent video on this topic from Fandom Musings. She goes into how groping and things like that, so often being pure accidents, serves to distort the nature of actual harassment, groping, and assault, which is almost always an intentional act. There were also, of course, complaints about a double standard, where men who get assaulted by women have those experiences laughed off as not a big deal. But if you actually take issue with this treatment of men, I don't know why you're complaining about feminist SJWs, because they're on your side here. The primary reason behind the attitude that leads people to go, oh yeah, I'm sure he's real upset about that, in response to stories of high school boys being raped by female teachers is rooted in patriarchy and its machismo attitudes towards sex. Sex is something that men pursue and women give out. As a man, you're supposed to seek out sex, and to get sex from an adult woman as a boy is viewed as an accomplishment to be proud of, and something you should enjoy enjoy. Sex is a prize for you. You've won. Like, by the basic ideological tenets of more mainstream rational feminism, outside the tiny realm of a few thousand feminists whose ideology is actually just literally we hate men, feminism would directly address those complaints about the belittlement of the experiences of male rape victims. It's just disingenuous to bring that up in a complaint about SJWs. And to the comments complaining about male feminist white knighting, I'm a trans girl actually, so no. To address more disingenuity, yes, Japan has a feminist movement, and one that would find issue with the very things I'm critiquing here. Once again, Fandom Musing's video is a good source for this, as she goes into greater detail on things like Japan's own Me Too movement, which does exist, by the way. As I said in my video, if you're asserting that my angle of critique here is born from a Western perspective that is wholly foreign and inapplicable to Japan because their politics are so exotic and unique, you're either an imbecile or a fraud. One last thing that I forgot to put into the script was all the comments going, "Oh, are you saying video games cause violence?" Which is a bit of a false equivalency here. So yes, the general sort of academic tenor on it is that video games do not cause people to go out and commit violent acts. But there is a good amount of research on the subject that shows that media and the ideas in media, as we consume that media, influences the ideas that we hold on those subjects. The degree to which it does so is not clear. The ways in which it does so exactly are not clear. But to suggest that media just has no influence on the attitudes of people whatsoever is just remarkably ignorant and childish. And sort of just takes that singular point, video games don't cause violence, and plasters it moronically over and over without nuance. So thanks. Bye. And of course, people rightly said that this topic could have used a broader look at the medium to better back up my claims. The ways in which queer characters are portrayed in Harassment anime is a graduate thesis all its own, and will certainly be something I explore in the future. The video this month didn't have the production time to allow for the research that could certainly be done on this topic, but I think that video still had plenty of value because it is me opening the door on this conversation, presenting the basic idea and getting things started. It's certainly a subject that can be and will be talked about more in the future, by myself, and I hope by others as well. There's just one video left in Bring Back the Romance month here, so I hope you're looking forward to that. I wasn't able to get that hour-long Wandering Sun video edited while also making all these videos, but look forward to that as my next project after this in all likelihood. It's already written and recorded. Patreon support is integral to allowing me to pursue giant undertakings like that, so as always, a heartfelt thank you goes out to Psyker, Mathways97, Jonathan Conley, Tyler Monk, TeenShow37, Lord Liquid Bacon III, Elaine Altfelt, David McCown, Hajort Dog, Smokeweed Sephiroth 420, JMam4747, Chase Sutter, Dove, Lucas Holcomb, and everyone else supporting me on there already.